Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. This isn't a green screen, although that would be a pretty cool one. I am away. I'm in Morocco. I've been here for a couple of days. I'm back to London on Thursday. I flew out for a bit of business, a bit of a break as well. It's lovely out here, although it's not as warm as I thought it would be, hence why I'm wearing a hoodie outside, but it is still very, very beautiful. I'm staying in a hotel called the Four Seasons. It's in Marrakesh. I'll do a little tour of this, but I'll put it up on my Instagram so you guys can see it over there. It's an incredible, incredible hotel. I believe this is where AFCON was here a couple of weeks back, right? I believe this is where the South African players and the Ivory Coast players stayed, and I can understand why they picked it. So in terms of gym facilities, it's got a whole separate room just for cardio, and obviously a whole separate room for weights. It's obviously got all the other stuff like sauna, steam, spa, swimming pool. It really, really is nice. So me and the missus are out here for a few days and then back to business when I get back to London on Thursday, because I go straight up to Newcastle for Josh Kelly's world title fight against Bakram. We'll talk about that on a separate video, because I do think there is a lot to discuss about Josh Kelly's chances. I give him a better chance than I think a lot of people do, and I'll explain why on a separate video. And I've just realized this because every time I start to film, a plane goes really loud overhead, so we're clearly on a bit of a flight path here, but hopefully these mics will drown out that. All right, let's have a look and see what there is to talk about today. All right, let's start here. The desire is there for Tszyu versus Errol Spence. Desire from who? I don't think the fans care too much about this, or at least I don't. I think there would be or will be a desire from Tszyu to fight Errol Spence. Errol's the big name, and if you're Errol in your comeback fight, Tszyu has become, I think, somewhat of a gatekeeper in the 154-pound division. He won't like that, but I do think in order to get to the best, you have to get through Tszyu first. I don't want to see Errol Spence fight again. Errol Spence hasn't fought since Terence Crawford defeat, which I think will be 4 years soon. Am I right? Or was it 3? I think it's 4. If you've been out the ring for that long, I think you should stay out the ring, personally. I don't know what the desire is. Some might say he wants to become a 2-weight world champion. Okay, cool. I think he should have ticked that box a lot sooner. I don't know why it's taken him so long to want to come back. There's been so many like false starts when it comes to this Errol Spence comeback. You guys might remember, I think it might have been when Tszyu lost to Fundura. I'm pretty sure Errol Spence got in the ring and didn't do a face-to-face with Fundura, but got in the ring as if to imply, I'm fighting you next. And it hasn't happened. So yeah, I don't know what the want is for Errol Spence. He's made a lot of money in his career. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I've heard some people suggest that he couldn't or isn't, but for me he is. So yeah, I'm just not convinced that we'll see Errol Spence in the ring again. And again, I don't really want to see Errol Spence in the ring again. He's entertained me enough, and seeing the way in which Terence Crawford broke him down, I just don't think there's anything left in Errol. I don't. And you look at some of the fighters in that 154-pound division. Yeah, it's not good news for Errol, I don't think anyway. So for me, stay retired or whatever he is doing. Anthony Joshua, there is no talk about fighting again, says Eddie Hearn. Yeah, there isn't, but it doesn't mean that people aren't going to talk about him fighting again. Especially once we see him sort of hitting the pads, and that just might be nothing. I think it's good for AJ to get to a gym. I mean, mentally, he must be going through a hell of a lot right now. And maybe just him sort of just being in the gym, shaking things off might be a good thing. I did see a picture that his trainer posted on his Instagram of him and AJ. And I think the trainer said something, and I'm paraphrasing it. I think he said something like, we can get through this, or something like that. I don't know if that was an old photo pre-Jake Paul, or if that's AJ training now. I'm not quite sure. If that's AJ training now, again, you can understand why people are starting to think maybe AJ might fight again. I don't necessarily care what happens next with AJ. If he does fight again, then it's an absolute bonus. If he doesn't, I can fully understand why, and I think we all can. I've been screaming for AJ to fight Tyson Fury for the best part of a decade, and I thought that we were really close. But if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. I mean, what AJ's been through in the last few weeks is just, it's insane. Honestly, it's insane. And I mean, it'll break anyone. Like, so mentally, I have no idea where he is right now. So look, I'm not sure what happens with AJ. I actually haven't reached out to him. I've reached out to his team a few times. Obviously, I was at the funeral. I saw a few of them there. But I didn't make a beeline to AJ to go and speak to him because I wouldn't even know what to say, if I'm honest with you. So look, we'll see what happens with AJ. And again, only AJ will tell us what's going to happen with AJ. Raymond Muratalla feels like a real champion now after his upset win over Andy Cruz. Yeah, he should. And it was an upset win. In hindsight, we probably all got it wrong. I think we're all high on Andy Cruz, right? Rightly so, because he's a very special boxer. But one thing was very apparent straight away in that fight was the size difference. Like physically, Muratalla looked like a guy that could be at 140. Andy Cruz looked like a guy that should be at 130. So as good as Andy Cruz is size, you know. I mean, I think we saw this with Loma, all right? I mean, as good as Loma is, and Loma was so much more talented than everyone he fought, he was giving away too much size. And Andy Cruz might have to realize that very quickly and get down to a weight whereby he's not the smaller guy. 118, 110 was ridiculous, but he won that fight. He won that fight. And this is why I was doing my trainer of the year with Ariel, and Ariel gave it to Andy Lee. I gave it to Robert Garcia. And I said to Ariel at the time, I'm not giving it to Robert Garcia because of his two monsters, Virgil and Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I'm giving it because of fighters like this. Like, he's got other people in his stable that are killers. Raymond Muratalla is now an IBF lightweight champion and he's unbeaten. That's what Robert Garcia has got in his stable. Hence why I gave Robert Garcia Trainer of the Year. We'll see what happens next. From Muratalla, he wants, didn't he say he wants the winner of Shakur Tszyu? He ain't going to get that. The queue is big and there's a line and it's a very big line. He'll probably look at what Abdullah Mesa's doing. It's not really a big money fight. Obviously, Shakur is still the WBC champion, but Shakur will vacate if he beats Tszyu. And I think Herrera, who fought on that German card on the undercard of Caballero, will be upgraded. So there aren't that many sexy names. Floyd Schofield's there, obviously. Everyone's waiting to see what Tank does. But there are some big fights. There are some really, really big fights for Muratalla. And it's going to take something very, very special to beat him. Talking of special, let's get to Madison Square Garden this Saturday. Gutted to not be there. Let me not pretend that I'm not upset, because I am. Look, I'll be doing Josh Kelly's fight, and that's a big fight, but come on, people. I mean, this is a enormous fight. Enormous. Two guys right at the peak of their powers. Two fantastic boxers. Shakur, pound for pound, top 10. Tszyu, maybe just outside it. Maybe like 12th or 13th in my pound for pound rankings. But obviously a win for Tszyu would take him into the top 10. A win for Shakur, I mean, there's an argument to say he could be number one. There's an argument to say you could be number one if you are about to win your I don't know what belt, but your fourth weight division. Could be number one. I think this is such a good matchup, and I think too many people are sleeping on TEOFIMO Lopez without realizing TEOFIMO Lopez has done the best homework you can do in preparation for Shakur. And what I mean by this is Shakur is a slick southpaw, right? An incredible boxing southpaw. Let's not forget TEOFIMO Lopez has beaten an incredible elite boxing southpaw in Vasily Lomachenko. Most people hate fighting southpaws. They're tricky, right? You don't get a good enough sparring for them. There are simply more orthodox fighters than southpaw fighters. So you grow up fighting orthodox fighters. So when you fight a southpaw, it's like, my God, what am I doing? He has fought two of the best southpaws of the last 10 to 15 years in Josh Taylor and Vasily Lomachenko. And he's beaten them both. So he's had the perfect preparation. And removing Josh Taylor, because Josh Taylor although a very good boxer, isn't as slick as Shakur Stevenson. Loma is. So he's been there and done that. Loma came up from a small weight class. Shakur came up from a small weight class. Is Shakur better than Loma? I don't know. It's a debate to be had. But what I'm getting at is that Teofimo Lopez will not be scared of fighting a slick southpaw when he has experience of beating slick southpaws. He's the bigger of the two. He's more experienced of the two. He's tasted defeat, which might be a negative, might be a positive, but he knows what that's like. He knows that feeling. Won't want that feeling again. Shakur's had that feeling, but obviously the last time was in the Olympics. We saw how that affected him. He's become a machine. I think it's a difficult fight to call, you know. I really do. On the one hand, and I get it, everyone thinks Shakur is very, very special, Floyd, Terrence special, and you just can't see him losing. And I get that. But Teofimo Lopez, this is his weight class. He is the guy, the bigger guy, who really was going to ascend to 147. He's standing around for this one. He's a guy that's beaten, I think, the better fighters in Josh and Vasily, as opposed to Shakur's biggest wins, which are probably Oscar Valdez and Zepeda. I don't know, man. I am not sleeping on Tszyu. Tszyu's more athletic. Tszyu, I believe, is more powerful. I don't think that's a wrong statement. Shakur's the better boxer, but it's not by a million miles. Do you know what I mean? Like, Shakur's advantages in this fight are smaller than, I think, Tszyu's advantages. I think. That being said, I think Shakur wins. I think Shakur is that special talent. I think Shakur is a guy that will work Tszyu out. But I wouldn't be shocked if early hours of Sunday morning we're saying and still as opposed to and the new. Wouldn't shock me. I think Tszyu, you know what I like about Tszyu? In the last few years, yeah, I think I've seen a maturity in him. I think he's someone that's coming into his own, that almost understands who he is now and has accepted it. And I think he was fighting that through the years. I thought this is someone that used to almost stand behind his father. Now his father's in the background and he's in the forefront. And we see a lot of this, by the way, with these kind of father-son relationships. I think we're seeing it a bit now with Devon. We certainly saw it with Eubank, didn't we? Chris Eubank and Chris Eubank Jr. and Senior. I think we're seeing it with Conor Nigel. It takes a while for the sons to get in front of quite loud and big figure fathers. And I think that's what Tszyu has finally done. And I think we're seeing the best Tszyu inside and outside the ring because of it. And even in his most recent wins, like, let's not sleep on the Arnold Barboza victory. Arnold Barboza was coming off two really good wins in Ramirez. I was there for that Latino night. And then Jack Cattrall. And he was coming into that fight high. Teofimo Lopez just shut him right down. So, yeah, man. I give Tszyu a very, very good chance. Shakur's not a 140 guy, people. He's a 135 guy that is going up to 140 because ultimately the 135 landscape without Gervonta just doesn't look sexy for him. There's not enough there. That's why he's going to 140. Could this be a jump too quick, too soon, too much? I don't know. It's going to be an incredible fight. Good undercard as well. Keyshawn Davis, Jermaine Ortiz. Who else on the undercard? Carlos Adames, Amma Williams. Jerome Miller is back. He's on the undercard as well. I love this fight card. I love it. I think it's a great fight card. It's a great fight. I'm edging Shakur just. Like, some people think this is one-way traffic. You must be crazy. You must be crazy. In fact, I'm going the other way. I'm going Tszyu. I'm going Tszyu majority decision. I'm going Tszyu majority decision on this one. I think Tszyu is going to have too much for him physically. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. All right, what else? Adam Azim, Gustavo Lemos postponed after both fighters suffer injury. Some of the narrative and talk around this is crazy. Like, all of a sudden, it's Adam Azim's fault he's injured. It's Ben Shalom's fault that Adam Azim's injured. I mean, people get injured. What are you supposed to do? People get injured. Everyone has their conspiracy theories. Oh, the fight wasn't selling, tickets weren't great. If he's injured, he's injured. Let's just speak about what we know as opposed to creating these weird narratives and conspiracy theories. Adam Azim's a good fighter. He boxed really well against Kurt Scooby. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say he's injured. People started doing this with Moses. Moses must have a problem. Moses got injured. What are you supposed to do? All right, anything else before we wrap up? Oh my God, some of the stuff on Zuffa Boxing, yeah, is mental. Guys, Max Kellerman, some of his spin. You know, it's weird with Max, yeah, because I grew up, I thought Max was the fucking king. I'm not convinced Max is that anymore. Some of what Max says is just like, all right, dude, I get it. I do what you do. We both do the same thing. I work for the broadcaster. I work for the promoter. We oversell it. But you need to calm down a little bit, rein it in. Like, I've been waiting for this since I was a kid. What are we talking about? Crazy, crazy. All right, guys, girls, that is it. I am going to do Ade Gman, although I'm out here having a bit of a break. Ade Gman's going to get done, and hopefully me and a guy called Henry can get one more done as well.